Joining us now is the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, Mike Aresco. Mike, I think is this show appearance number 3 for you? You're becoming a regular.
I think it is, Spencer. It is. It is. Thank you. It's great to
have
be
you
here.
with us on set at Marlins Park. This has been quite the undertaking for you and your conference, and Carlos Padilla, the executive director of the Miami Beach Bowl. What are your impressions of what you see thus far as setup goes?
Beautiful setup, and they've worked hard. They've worked for a better part of a year. We thought that this would be a great place for a bowl game. I mean, Marlins Park is beautiful, the weather, the activities for the teams, the schools. We just thought that, we needed more bowl games, and we think this provides a great opportunity for student athletes. And you really have a terrific matchup, obviously, with a good BYU team that had overcome a lot of injuries and a Memphis team that's one of our tri-champions. But I love the setup. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful stadium. And we'll build this as a tradition here in South Florida, and I'm really pleased.
You nailed it. It's been fantastic. It's been great to be in Miami. What's the toughest thing about starting a bowl game?
Sure. Well, it's first of all, there's a lot of logistical things, obviously, that many things you have to do. Financially, you have to make sure it's going to be solvent and ultimately that you can pull it off. We knew how to do it, though, because we were heavily involved in the Pinstripe Bowl in New York. We were also heavily involved in the game in St. Petersburg. But as a conference, this was before I got there, we hadn't decided ultimately to own a game. And we thought, why don't we own it? Because then it can't be taken away from you.
Yeah.
We're going to be in this game year after year. Some of the other bowls that we were heavily involved in, we're not in anymore. And that happens. So this was a chance, I think, to establish something that's going to be good for our conference long term. Other conferences are looking at the model. I mean, we wanted to be bold and innovative. I mean, we're a new league, basically, and we needed to do things that were different. I think BYU really appreciates the opportunity to play in this game this year. I think next year, we'll have some other conferences in the future. But it's a great, like you said, South Beach. How do you have a better experience?
Perfect.
And we tried to make it compact. We didn't want the teams to have to be here for too long. It's before Christmas, which works for the community. It works for the teams. In addition, they love the weather. They love the getaway. I've been seeing the posts for the Provo weather and the Memphis weather, and it's quite a contrast. And I came from Providence, where our conference office is, and it was snowing the morning I left yesterday. So
well done.
Yes,
and I would have come earlier, but I had some functions I had to attend back north. But again, I think all in all, it's an opportunity for our student athletes to have a great experience, and that's the whole point of the bowl games.
Miami weather in December, greater than Providence and Provo and Memphis combined.
Greater than everywhere else. Yeah.
It's tough to be 80 degrees. Now, this is a unique setup. This park only holds 36,000, so it's got kind of that. I guess it's kind of like Fenway Park, and there aren't a lot of numbers here, but it's you experience the game in a way that you wouldn't otherwise in a stadium full of 80 or 90,000 people. So what kind of a reception do you expect from the fans, both in the stadium with ticket sales and viewership across the country?
Well, I think viewership across the country will be outstanding. Now, it's a Monday afternoon before Christmas, and for many people it's still a work day, 2 o'clock. But there are plenty of people who are home for various reasons, and also BYU has a national following, which will be, I think, very important to viewership in the game. And our conference, I think, has developed a footprint. So I think national TV viewing will be good, and I think the attendance will build gradually. I think we're hoping to have a representative crowd. I don't think it doesn't hold that many for football. And the way the stadium is set up, the seats will all be good. Everybody will have a great view. Beautiful turf has been installed here, as you can see.
Yep.
So we're hoping that for a representative crowd the first time out, and then build it from there. But I think it's a great opportunity for the teams. That's the key thing, and the coaches.
Mike, with this being the 4th BYU game against the AAC this year and several on the docket next year, how would you describe the relationship between BYU and the AAC?
Well, we love that relationship, and I've talked about it many times. I've been on with you before. BYU, again, I go back a long way with BYU, and I've followed college football most of my life. And I love the BYU tradition. BYU started something in college football. It's funny, isn't it ironic that we've come full circle? All the offenses that you see now are really kind of the offspring of what BYU did originally, with all those great quarterbacks, with Ty Detmer, with Jim McMahon, with, Steve Young, with Mark, all the great quarterbacks you've had here. And BYU has a great tradition. It also is a great university. We love the values. I mean, that's really important. Look at our league. You have schools like SMU and Tulsa and Tulane in terms of the small private schools. You have major state universities of importance like Cincinnati and UCF and USF, and then you have a state university like UConn's in the top 20 in the country, Temple. Our teams like going to Provo. They enjoy having BYU come to their place. They know that BYU has fans, has a following. They enjoy, and by the way, the administration, I've gotten to know President Worthen. I did not know him before this year, and obviously he's the new president. I knew Cecil Samuelson for a number of years, and then Tom Holmoe has been a friend for a long time. And these are really quality people. And I go back to the Glenn Tuckett days, Clayne Jensen, Rondo Felberg, and I've addressed the Cougar Club over the years. The hospitality, the warmth that I was always greeted with was just outstanding. So I have a really great feeling for BYU. But I also think, and I made the point, they're a power team. How can you look at BYU's history with a national championship, with great finishes, with as many bowl games as virtually any program, and as many wins as virtually any program, and all those great players, a Heisman Trophy winner in Detmer? How do you look at that team and that program and not say they are a power team, especially how they've done the last several years? I mean, look at what they did with Texas this year, Texas last year, and they were decimated by injuries, came back, beat a good Cal team to finish the season. So we like to play them because we know that we're playing. And by the way, our conference had the toughest non-conference schedule of any in the country, and I think the committee would acknowledge that. And the committee has told me that we played up, and they were very proud of the way we did that. Now, we had 3 lost teams that were our tri-champions, so we didn't end up on New Year's Day this year. We could well have. But the point is, when we play BYU, we feel like we're playing a team similar to an SEC team or an ACC team or a Big Ten team. And we played at Ohio State, we played at UCLA, at Ole Miss. We played everywhere this year.
Now that's saying something about the American, because you look at Memphis, one of 3 tri-champs. They're 9-3. BYU comes in at 8-4. The Cougars want to get to 9 wins. Memphis certainly wants to get to double-digit wins. What do you expect to see from these 2 teams when they hit the field today?
A tough physical game. Memphis has developed into a really, really good team. And they've got a good quarterback, obviously. Paxton Lynch does a fine job. He's big, too. He's
6'7", yeah.
Yeah, he's big. And they're methodical. You know, they can run the ball. They have a controlled offense. Justin Fuente's a terrific coach. I think it'll be a chess match between Bronco and Justin. I think BYU, very physical team. I saw the UCF game down here, went to overtime. Didn't look like UCF was going to win that game at one point. They were down 2 touchdowns late. Came back, very physical game. BYU has, obviously, without Taysom Hill, you know, they have to have a different kind of offense. But in the trenches, it's going to be probably, I know I heard some of the Trevor Maddich, and he talked about the wide receivers and all. I think Memphis has a very good defense. So does BYU. I expect a close game. I'd be surprised if this game wasn't close. I mean, you never know once they hit the field. And bowl games are hard to predict because, you know, your season has ended. Some teams prepare a certain way for bowl games, others don't. But I think both of these teams are hungry. You know, some teams, you come in, maybe you're 6-6 and your coach is gone and it's not the same. But here you have a 9-3 Memphis team on the rise that was this close to being on New Year's Day. And then you have a BYU team that, again, had dreams about being undefeated early on. And we thought had a pretty good chance. And then, obviously, a rash of serious injuries. So they're happy now to have recovered, and they want to make a good statement at the end of the season. So I would think that both teams are highly motivated.
UCF game was start number 1 for Christian Stewart, Taysom Hill's replacement. Now this is his final start as a senior. Mike, great to have you with us on set on BYU Sports Nation. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Spencer, thank you, and thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care. Great to be with you.